Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all you lovely bastards that have tuned in to another episode of the Since I Was Young podcast. Welcome back. Yes, as mentioned just there, we are the Since I Was Young podcast, all dedicated to all things Heart or Midlothian news, chats, and reviews. Joining you as always are your hosts, myself, Ewan, and Alan. Alan, how are you doing? Good, sir? You all good?
I'm very well, sir. I'm basking in the gloriousness of an undefeated Heart of Midlothian. How are you?
Oh, I'm beautiful, mate. But don't get too sort of caught up, mate, because apparently it's not worthy to celebrate a draw at Ibrox. Don't be celebrating that now. No. That is
No.
absolutely not, sir. But yes, as Alan just mentioned there, that is going to be our main topic for this podcast. We're going to be reviewing the game that was held at Ibrox on Saturday, where it was Rangers against Hearts, which ended in a 1-1 draw with some fascinating things to go through, some quite sort of big incidents that happened throughout the actual game, but we will go into more detail in a wee bit about that. As always, we will have our regular news segment with Alan. We've got a few things to go through, including some interest in one of our central defenders, and also Liam Boyce as well, concerning his international duties for Ireland. And there's also a wee tiny bit that just came in today. We are recording this on a Monday, but you will probably be seeing this on Tuesday, the next day. But one of the club's legends has finally got himself a testimonial, which is long overdue. But again, we will go into a tiny bit of detail about that. And as we just said, we will do a full review of the game of Rangers versus Hearts, and then we will dive into a small bit for the game not next week, but this Saturday coming at home to Dundee. We will do a small to preview on that just to round things off. And before we get started, as always, if you are a fan of the Since I Was Young the podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian, if you want to think about subscribing, please do. And if you do enjoy this was it episode of the podcast, please smash that like button. It is always appreciated. And if you want to get in contact with us through our social medias, as always, you can. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at SIWY Pod. If you want to get in contact with us through our email, also you can. We're at sinceIwasyoung1874@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan, you can. All of our links to our Twitter pages are in the description, as well as my YouTube channel, What Ewan's Doing. So, Alan, as we just mentioned there, we have a bit of news in the news segment, as always. We'd like to kick things off with a bit of interest in our prized central back Scotland defender. Can you shed a bit of light on that for us, my man?
Yeah, so essentially it's the one that everybody would expect it to be about. It's about John Souttar.
Oh, what a
we
shot.
all know
What a shot.
I know. We all know that his contract is running out at the end of the season. So obviously this is the time of year when you start hearing all the transfer stories and all the rumours. Two clubs in England that have been credited with an interest is Blackburn Rovers and Stoke City. I think he's good enough for that level. Their English Championship. I think he could
easy.
He could certainly fit in there. Interestingly, Stoke, his brother Harry, I think his name is Harry Souttar. He plays for Stoke, and his brother is being linked with a move to the Premier League, be it Tottenham or Everton. I think were two teams that were interested in him. So Stoke are essentially lining up one Souttar to potentially replace another one.
Fair enough.
Which would make sense, to be fair. The other club that was muted as keeping an eye on the situation was, of course, what happens whenever Hearts go and play against one half of the Old Firm in the week, in the build-up to the game. Ultimately, one of our better performing players gets linked with a move to Celtic or Rangers. And in this instance, obviously, the build-up to the game at Ibrox saw the predictable headlines of ex-Rangers legend suggests that Souttar would be a perfect fit for Rangers and should definitely go there, etc., etc. So
I did not see that one coming at all. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think it was Barry Ferguson that they rolled out for this one, but there was a few names that
because
come out linking him.
Yeah, because you said that as well, because there was himself and there was also Alex McLeish as well, if I'm right in saying as well. It's like, all like, what I mean? So it's like, like you said, it's just typical. Every single time we play the Old Firm, it's someone that's got to be linked. Always.
Yeah, it's predictable. And I mean, I'm sure that Rangers maybe are keeping an eye on Suter because their defence is not that solid anymore compared to what it has been. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were keeping an eye on him. It wouldn't surprise me if Celtic were keeping an eye on him because he's a good player and he'd make both of their defences better. But
of course,
the timing of the article and everything just makes you think, it's been done to try and unsettle him ahead of the game. But we'll see. Yeah. I'm still holding out slim hopes that he stays and signs the contract, but they're getting slimmer and slimmer by the day. But I hope that he stays and we don't have to have this conversation anymore.
No, you and me both. But yeah, we'll move on to a bit of international news as well. Liam Boyce apparently has ruled himself out of international duties. Is that right, Alan?
It is. He said that he has a young family at home and he doesn't have a lot of family in Scotland. I think it's just literally him and his wife and their kids. So at the age of sort of over 30 or 30 now, so it's kind of, using the international breaks as a chance to be at home and help out, because obviously
of course,
if he's jetting around the world, he's got a young family, leaving his wife to do everything herself is a bit, it's a bit steep.
No, man, of course.
But he's not said that he will not return to international duty. He's just said, the last international break, he asked not to be selected for the squad for Northern Ireland. And he basically said in the article that I was reading, the next international break, which is in November, he said it will probably be the same for that one. But he's not ruled himself out. He's not retired from international duty, which is good. And it leaves the door open because I'm sure that the Northern Ireland camp would be happy to have him, considering the form he's been in for us. But yeah, it makes sense. And obviously, if he doesn't want to be included for Northern Ireland, it potentially benefits us if he's resting and taking time out.
That's what I was literally about to say. Like, from a very selfish point of view, like it's the same with when Suter didn't get picked for Scotland as well. Like, from a very selfish fan point of view, it's good for us as well. Like, to not to run the risk of any sort of injuries as well. So, it's kind of a win-win. So
yeah, I'd say so.
Absolutely, man. And to round things off, something that I'd thought would have happened already donkeys ago, but much like yourself, I actually saw it on Twitter not too long ago. One of the club's legends, Gary Locke, is finally getting a testimonial match. How's that not happened already?
The way, it's bizarre. I can't believe he's not had one.
Genuinely, not at all.
And I'm like, this is a guy that has given so many years of service to Hearts.
Still is. So.
Yeah. Well, the Evening News article says more than 20 years of service, which is amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Player, coach, assistant manager, or player, coach, interim manager, and manager. He's done, and now I think now he's working in the club shop, to be honest.
He is I think when I watched the Hearts documentary, like the 3-part documentary that was on, was it the BBC Scotland? I think what Anne Budge, what her words was, he is the face of Hearts, which can't argue about.
No, absolutely. And I think if anyone deserves to have a testimonial, it's Gary Locke. But the way that they're sort of wording it is that it's going to be in 2022, and there's going to be a series of events that are planned to sort of celebrate his time at the club. So
fair enough.
As well as a match, I think there's going to be like a meet and greet thing, or like, how they do these evenings where you get interviewed and things like that in front of fans and maybe in the bar or whatever. Like, so they're obviously lining up a few things for him, which is nice, and it's a nice gesture.
Absolutely, man.
For a man that has given so much to the club
and
deserves it. Like you say, he's the face of Hearts, and he's daft as a brush, but love him, absolutely love him.
Absolutely. I mean, would you probably think that it would maybe be in terms of the actual match? You'd probably think that the opposing team will probably be Kilmarnock, just out because like you know what I mean.
Potentially, it could be. It could be that would probably be a reasonable
Yeah.
assumption, to be honest. I don't know, and like you say, they're going to put more details out in due course. But yeah, it's just nice, and it's a classy thing that the club's doing and saying, you know, this guy deserves some recognition because he's part of the furniture, so he deserves to be
Definitely.
recognised.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, if we do hear any more details on Gary Locke's testimonial, we will obviously update you in a future podcast. But for now, Alan, thank you very much for the regular news segment, man. So we move on to the main topic of the game. Rangers versus Hearts at Ibrox, 3:00 kickoff just on Saturday past there. So we can start off with the team. There wasn't any major changes apart from one, which was Taylor Moore was dropped from the side to be replaced by John Suter. I'd like to start off with that one, mate. Were you kind of surprised that Robbie dropped Moore, considering that we've played quite well throughout the last few games, or were you just generally happy to see Suter back in the side?
I think there's an element to be said for both, to be honest. I think if I was Taylor Moore, I'd be disappointed. At being dropped, but Suter is our best central defender. He's our most complete central defender, and when he's fit, he'll play. And you can't drop Halkett, you can't drop Kingsley. For Suter. I don't think you could have Moore and Suter in a defensive three. I don't think it would work.
No, like I mean, it's only like he's only played like a handful of games so far, but there's something about Taylor Moore and just the way that he's built and the way that he kind of plays his game. There's something like relatively similar to Suter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons that we brought Taylor Moore in. Aside from the fact that he can cover right back if needed, he is a similar profile to Suter. So it was, when I saw the lineup, I was happy that Suter was playing. But I did feel bad for Taylor Moore because he's not done anything wrong.
Not at all.
Play. But if Suter's fit, he plays. Like that's what it comes down to be honest.
Definitely, man, definitely. Obviously, we'll go through a bit of the detail from the first half, but I think we can probably both agree with all round Rangers came out flying throughout that entire first half. I'll be very honest, they looked a completely different team to how they've been playing throughout the last sort of 8 games beforehand. They just looked so energized. They look almost rejuvenated as such. Like, you know what I mean? I say we didn't have much of the ball. Like we did, like, you know, throughout the first half. But what I will give Hearts was it credit for, and to Robbie as well. We weren't just sort of sitting back, letting them sort of have the ball to try and like sort of create chances. You know, from the get go, we were flying at them. Like, you know, the likes of the Woodburn, Mackay as well were flying, pressurizing like sort of the Rangers from the start. And just from that, it's nice to see that, like, you know, when a tiny bit of the pressure gets put onto the Robbie, you know, it just shows what he can do and what he can like sort of in the pose on the actual team when he is like sort of under like a bit of pressure.
Yes, I think to go off what you're saying about Rangers, I was very impressed with the way they moved the ball. And that first 45, I mean, I've got a note of the chances that they had. Gordon was making saves left, right, and centre, and they were fluffing shots left, right, and centre. But Rangers, I don't know what it was. They just I don't know if it was their selections or whatever, but Aribo was running
was
down that
flying.
wing. Yeah, he was getting involved. Hadji started quite well, but then it was funny because I don't know if you noticed, but Cammy Devlin tackled Hadji quite early on, and
they
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 had
were
a wee,
they were
yeah,
hating on the Devlin, weren't they? I loved it. They
yeah.
were
But you see,
hating on Devlin.
they had a little bit of trouble, Hadji and Devlin. There was a wee bit
Mm.
of a coming together between the two of them, and
Yeah,
that knocked Hadji off his game.
a
To be
tiny bit,
honest,
didn't it? Yeah.
it did. But that's what Cammy Devlin does. He doesn't show any respect to any opponents, and I love that.
Not at all. Not
But
at all, man.
I have to say, yeah, it was probably the best that I've seen Rangers play so
Yeah.
far this season.
Yeah.
To be honest, the amount of chances that they had, even in the first 20 minutes,
Mm.
you're looking at it. They had Scott Wright had a chance after 5 minutes that Gordon had to save.
Yeah.
Hadji,
I think Morelos as well, like, had a shot where he kind of cut it off the face of goal, which I thought was probably, well, apart from the actual goal that they actually scored, I thought that was one of their best chances as well. So it was a very, I mean, not that I was not expecting it, but throughout just watching that at the first half, you were kind of expecting, was it the Rangers to take it up a gear, because we've been saying throughout the last like sort of small while that me personally, I don't think Rangers kind of got out of first gear until Saturday's game, which again, like, wouldn't expect anything less. But in that same note, I thought, obviously, apart from the goal, because like, let's sort of face it, it was a well hit strike. But regardless of that, I thought, even being under the pressure by the Rangers with the amount of chances that they actually had, I thought we did defend relatively well. As you just said, there was it Gordon making some great saves, especially a free shot. Fucking honestly, mate, I watching that bit, and then it wasn't just actually, it was this afternoon, like I saw it, I didn't actually notice Gordon's reaction after. The boy was having an absolute fucking, it was a euphoric moment for him. He's like, oh, fucking, like, I loved it.
Well, but that's the thing, for a goalkeeper, saves like that, it's as good as scoring a goal, and it was mad. Like, I can't believe it didn't go in.
Dude, absolutely.
I think it was Michael Smith that cleared it off the line after as well, because Gordon makes a couple of saves and then Michael Smith hacks it off the line. But it's funny because, like, people say, oh, we show Rangers too much respect. We show them too much respect. We don't get in their faces. I think in that first half we actually did.
We did.
We tried to get in their faces, but I think it was more Rangers and the way they were playing.
Yeah, because like sorry, Mike. Go on, you go.
No, I was just gonna say, when they had the ball, they were just constantly moving it and finding passes, and then when we had it, we couldn't find a pass, and we just kept kind of giving it away, and we didn't really have any sort of control, but they weren't allowing us to.
No, man. Yeah, I mean, like, because, like you said, mate, like, they're sort of had the passing. It was just so fluent and so quick as well. Like, I thought that we were kind of taking that part of our game, like, slightly up a notch, like, in terms, like, for the last few games, our sort of, was it at the possession sort of at the width of the actual ball is a lot more was it the productive, like, instead of just going, like, left and right, we're actually slowly moving it up, for finding space, for finding, was it at the passes, like, etc. So, but in that sense though, I mean, it wasn't as if we weren't finding space in the first half, in the Rangers half. Like, there were a few moments in the actual game where we were finding, was it the pockets of space. We just didn't, like, was it have the actual, was it the players there to actually, like, sort of, was it to make those, was it the passes as well. I believe it was Barry Mackay that had the chance on the far right, and he sort of nicked it in, but I think it maybe took a nick off of Goldson's head, and then it sort of went, like, sort of far right to the left hand side. I wouldn't say it was a talking point, but I've seen these sort of challenges given as a penalty. Granted, it was so soft, but that's just, was it him using his experience. The Boyce, I mean, Granted, it was a shoulder barge. I mean, was it from
Balogun.
the Goldson or sorry, was it at the Balogun?
Balogun, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was so soft. Like it would have been one of the softest was it at the penalties I would have seen. But I have seen them given, in the recent sort of past. What did you make of that? Because my first instinct when it actually happened, I genuinely thought that it might have been at the penalty. What was your thoughts on that, mate?
I thought it was incredibly soft.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't, when I saw it to start with, I didn't think it was. I thought it's too soft. He's gone down too easily.
Good.
I could see why the referee didn't give it or
no, man, of course, yeah.
Think about it. But watching it again, and this ties into what we were saying last week in our VAR discussion. Having the benefit to watch it again, I watched it again and I thought Balogun's looking at Boyce. He knows exactly where he is. He's not looking at the ball.
No. Yeah, I get you.
But in the moment, without the benefit of replays, I can understand why the referee doesn't give it.
Yeah.
But there's definitely contact, and he definitely knocks him off balance. And it's like you said, we've seen them give him before. Look at Cammy Devlin's one against Motherwell.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was arguably softer than that one, and we got given that.
Possibly, yeah.
So it's one of those. I don't know if because we've had quite a lot of penalties recently, maybe the referee's got that in his mind and he's thinking maybe they're looking for a penalty. I don't know.
Possibly.
But I think had it been given, obviously I would have been absolutely delighted. Don't get me wrong. And I was screaming after I'd seen the second replay. I was screaming for it, but the element of or the voice of reason in my head is thinking, nah, do you know what? Probably the referee did get that one right, unfortunately.
And it's probably the only one he got right that full game. As we continue, as Alan just mentioned there, we did do a special, was it at the podcast during the international break on VAR being introduced to Scotland. So if you want to give that the watch, it is quite an interesting chat. Please to feel free to give that a watch, and we will leave the link in the description. There we go. Speaking of if VAR was being used as we speak, Alan, I don't know where to start. I really don't know where to start with this one. Most of the people watching right now will probably know what I am about to talk about. When Devlin, let's just put it nicely, got taken the fuck out, literally, right now, they didn't show the replays of that challenge as far as I remember, because play was in our advantage, if I remember saying. And it wasn't until I saw the clip that you had to put up, Alan, on Twitter. Jesus, the boy studs us like fucking like that, right on his shin. Now, if that's not a red card, like seriously, like I was speechless. I was absolutely speechless. Like, where do you go from here? Like, genuinely, like you said, mate, we had a long discussion about how VAR is there to help the referees to help utilize the new technology now. But if referees are not getting blatant challenges like that, right? Where do we go? Where do we go from here?
I know.
Seriously, go on.
Well, no, it's funny. I was just going to say, because obviously I watched the game and I screen recorded it. So I had the full 90 minutes and I've watched it back since. And it was somebody put up a still picture of the tackle.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you could see, obviously, the foot was high. And I'm always one of these that, you can freeze frame a tackle at any point and it looks worse.
Yeah.
If you see a picture of it, it's going to look worse.
Yeah, of course.
So I thought, I'm just going to post the clip up there. So I posted it up, and it seems to be the video that everybody's kind of sharing and retweeting and stuff. And that's why I put it up, because I was like, well, it was dangerous. It was dangerous. And I don't understand. Like, the referee, what makes it more baffling for me is that the referee is looking right at it.
Yes.
I can the only it's one of these, and this is not a defense of Aribo in any way whatsoever, because I think it's a red card every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Aribo gets the ball, and his first touch is horrific.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the ball gets away from him. And Cammy Devlin, being his little terrier self, gets in and nicks the ball away because Aribo's not in control of the ball anymore.
No.
And then as Cammy Devlin's coming through, Aribo is going in to try and lunge for the ball that's gone already.
Yeah.
So Aribo can't move his foot. He can't back out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to follow through. And
Exactly.
there was no way of avoiding the challenge. But that's as much of a defense of Aribo as I can give you. Because, and somebody that I didn't even clock it, but after he makes the tackle, he turns around and looks at the referee.
Yeah, I know. I saw. He just.
Knows.
Okay, go play on. Like, aye. Like,
that's what I'm saying. He knows that he's got away with one, and he gets booked for it. And you're like, that's a red. Like,
sorry, mate. Go on, you go, because I'm just
no. I was just gonna say, because I posted it up on our Facebook page, and if people want to check it out there, Since I Was Young podcast on Facebook, go and give it a check. But there's been Rangers fans commenting on it, going, it's a 50-50. They're both entitled to go for the ball. It's just unfortunate that his leg is in the way, and there's an element of truth to that, because it is a 50-50 ball, but the ball's gone. The ball's away.
Thank you. Those fucking fans can sniff my ring. I'm sorry. That is an absolute disgraceful comment on that. I'm sorry, but
I'm telling you, they were giving Cammy Devlin absolute pelters. They did not like him.
Good, but no,
exactly.
The comparison that I made there, right? So was it at the Port Aces challenge, if I can remember rightly? So his foot was actually up before he made the challenge, right? And again, this is not in defense of him, but when it comes down to it, he did get the ball. He didn't take the player out because it came off of his thigh, was it where the actual ball sort of came from. But I do agree with the decision of what the referee made, because he was still endangering the safety of a football player.
Yeah. And
during the game, just there as well, both Cochrane and Devlin, during a Rangers counter, I think it was like the first 15 minutes, Devlin took down, I think it was
Aribo.
Aye, right. Aye. So then he took down Aribo. Then Cochrane, I think it might have been Hadji, sort of on the far right, like something like that.
I know exactly.
Right now, of course, every player that does that, just to take one for the team, that's what I mean. But again, I was just mind blown that the fact, like you said, the referee was in line with it. It wasn't as if it was far away. It wasn't as if he had a player in front of him. Devlin went down like a bag of shite, and like he said, was it the Rebo literally looked at the ref and just started moving slowly. Okay, play on. Yeah. And it just baffled the fuck out of me. It really did. No. It really did.
The biggest frustration that I have with it is that, obviously, you're talking about the Ryan Porteous tackle. Ryan Porteous got absolutely destroyed.
He did.
For that. The media, social medias, he was getting abuse hurled at him. And listen, I'm not a Ryan Porteous fan. He plays for the wee team. He's not a relevant player. But the amount of abuse that was hurled at him because he's made a tackle was ridiculous. The same amount of coverage cannot be said for Joe Aribo. It wasn't shown on Sports Scene.
No.
He didn't even talk about it. It's barely been mentioned in the media. And I'm not saying it was just as bad a tackle as the Porteous one, but it was in the same bracket.
Dude, and like we said just last the week as well, and multiple Hearts at the podcast have said it as well, and all around the SFA and the SPFL and the BBC as well accommodate Rangers and Celtic because that's their biggest asset in Scottish football, and they don't want to make them look bad. When it comes down to it, you know what I mean. But let's move on because I'll just rant on like about that for the rest of the podcast. Then it got to 40 minutes. Hearts. I mean, I generally did think that we were going to see out the first half after a really sort of tough, like sort of was it the first half, like sort of with the amounts of chances that the Rangers did had, but unfortunately one did come off for the Rangers. And to be fair, I will give Lundstrom like sort of the credit. It was a good shot from the sort of distance that he was at. I don't know. I mean, I think Gordon did get a slight touch to it, but I don't know if he maybe saw it slightly late. I'm not too sure, but all in all, like, I will concede that it was actually a good goal.
Yeah, it was. The thing is, if you're going to score a goal from 25, 30 yards out against Gordon, it's going to have to be a good one because, 9 times out of 10, he saves those. But I think the technique of it and the way he curls it round, because I think Halkett's the one that plays the ball out, but the clearance that he makes is because he's under pressure and he just knocks it out. And Lundstrom just picks it up, and he was only ever going to shoot. Like, there was Rangers players in front of him, but the way he was lining up, it's like, he's hitting this.
Man.
He curls it round the players that are in front of Gordon. Like you say, Gordon maybe sees it late. Still managed to get a hand on it, but just not strong enough to keep it out. But yeah, if like I said, if you're going to score a goal from that kind of distance against Craig Gordon, it's going to have to be a good one.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So that took us to the end of the first half with Rangers in front, and Hearts had it all to do in the second half. Alan, do you want to take us through the main points of the second half? Because as always, work called. So I unfortunately had to miss the second half and had to endure the highlights of sports scene. So yeah, do you want to kick us off through the second half, my man?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first kind of point of note that I have, and it's in reference to one of the players that started the game that I wasn't overly impressed with, to be honest. And it's a player that I'm a fan of, and I've said it already on this podcast a couple of weeks ago that I like him. 59 minutes in, Ben Woodburn off, Josh Ginnelly on. That game for me, Woodburn was lost in that game. He didn't, it wasn't working for him. He gave the ball away a few too many times that I'd like to see when under pressure. And I get it. Look, when you're under pressure, you can't find a pass. You just play it out anywhere, here, there, and everywhere. But he lost it on more than one occasion. And I thought, this system and the way it's working, it's not working for you in this game. We know when Ben Woodburn arrived at Hearts, we know that he's a number 10. He is. That's where he plays. He's a number 10. He can play on the wings, but he's not a pacey winger. He's not someone that's going to beat a boy with a ball. He's not going to knock it past someone and run around them. He's not going to, do a wee step over or a wee drop of the shoulder like a Barry Mackay, for example. He's not going to do that because that's not his game. Ben Woodburn's a very technically solid footballer, and I still stand by it. As soon as he gets one goal, he'll
be on fire. Yeah,
score, and that's good. But he just looked lost in that game. And every time he was on the wing, he was cutting inside and the space wasn't there for him. And Rangers just shut him down all the time. When he went off and Gino came on, they put Ginnelly on the left side because they had Barry Mackay on the right. Now, Gino normally plays off the right, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
In front of Michael Smith.
You're right, yeah.
So he played on the left when he came on. And I was actually very impressed with Ginnelly when he came on. And I don't know if it's just because we've not seen him for a few weeks.
Yeah, true. Because was his last? I might be talking absolute shite, but was his last appearance? Was it the Hibs game? I might be talking absolute shite, but
no, I think you're right. I'm trying to remember if he's come on because he's certainly not started.
No.
But
it may be
I was very impressed when he came on and played on the left. There were moments where he was helping out defensively. He was helping Cochrane at the back, which I really liked. I've got a lot of time for that.
Definitely.
And he just it was one of those. It was like, and it's the typical Josh Ginnelly. We've got an out ball. We know we can put the ball over the top and he'll run onto it.
Definitely.
And we also know we can give it to him and he'll carry it, which is something that Ben Woodburn doesn't really seem to be able to do all that well.
Hmm.
And then not even talking about chances or anything, because I noticed I was watching it with about half an hour to play. We had the ball in our defence, and it was so noticeable that we were playing at least 10 yards further up the pitch than we had been the whole game, because it was like, look, we've got the ball now. Like, we got through the storm of Rangers having chance after chance after chance. Morelos fluffing every single chance that we was presented with, which was great, by the way. We finally had some possession, and we were like, right, let's try and do something. And then 65 minutes, Morelos has possibly, well, in fact, there was another one that was slightly more of a goal than this one.
Yeah.
But it was 65 minutes. Kingsley slides in and blocks a shot that maybe Gordon's saving, but you don't know that. Morelos was in front of goal, hits a shot, Kingsley slides in and blocks it. And I'll say Stephen Kingsley was up there for man of the match for me. I thought he was outstanding.
Ever since, definitely, man, like, since he's actually came back into the squad, he has been absolutely solid. Like, not
unbelievable.
Not a single part of his game in any of the matches that he's played. Generally, not had like a bad thing to say about him. Not one thing.
Obviously, lots of fans label Michael Smith as Mr. Consistent, but I'm telling you, Stephen Kingsley's running him close for that.
Absolutely.
He's not putting a foot wrong, which is great.
Yeah, like you said, mate, like as well, like, I mean, with Rangers obviously having quite a high intensity throughout the first half, and we weren't getting much of a chance to have the ball, I think throughout the second half, I think that sort of intensity kind of calmed down a wee bit from the Rangers side, which I think, like you said, throughout the last half an hour of the game, I think it made it quite an even game. Like, because we were, like, I'm not saying that we were kind of setting out to do this, but with Rangers having a lot of the ball throughout the first half, we were like almost sort of preserving our energy a wee bit, not like, to the point where we're not actually trying to actually get the ball. But like I said beforehand, they used a lot of their energy throughout the first half. So I guess when it got to the last half an hour, like, they were starting to get like sort of tired legs, like, etc. But going to the chance that you were just about to go on there, again, Craig Gordon did make that save, didn't he? And then it kind of flicked off the post. Was that right? Or did he get a touch at all? Or
that was Roof later on.
Right, okay.
The one that he tipped onto the post was...
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Morelos one when Kingsley just comes out of nowhere and slide tackles it.
Yeah, no.
But after that, we had the first real chance that I thought we should be burying that. And that was Leon Boyce. 20 minutes to go. It was play between, I think it was Mackay and Benny. And Benny sort of slides a pass into Leon Boyce, and he's between the two defenders. And he gets a shot off, and McGregor makes a really good save, and the linesman puts his flag up that he's offside.
Right.
I didn't think he was offside. I thought it was very, very tight, to be honest. But maybe he was. I don't know. He must have been. The linesman put his flag up, so he was. But yeah, I didn't think he was, to be honest. The angles that I saw, it didn't look like he was offside.
Yeah.
It was really like our first real sight of goal, where I thought, right, we've got 20 minutes to go here. We've proven that we can have a shot. This is still only 1-0. And I mean, it's a total old cliche of football, but at 1-0, you're still in the game. You're still in that game. Like, I'll be honest, half-time, 1-0 down, I was delighted. Because I'm sitting there going, Rangers should be 2 or 3 up.
Yeah.
And they should have been with the chances they had in the first half. So we're sitting at half-time, 1-0 down, and I'm thinking, if we have a go here, there's still something in this for us.
Yeah.
And then Boyce has that chance, and I'm thinking, right, we're starting to play a wee bit now. We're starting to play
possibly,
a wee bit.
Possibly.
We're getting some chances. And then literally 2 minutes after, the Barry Mackay chance.
That was literally what I was about to come on as well.
Yeah.
Again, I did actually watch the highlights again this afternoon. But again, it kind of flaws my mind at this moment. So, like, of course, was it Mackay did an absolute brilliant run, taking it past two. Was it the Rangers? Was it players? Great, like, sort of speed into the box. Now, this is where I can't remember correctly. Did he have the space to actually pass it into Boyce? Because as I can remember, Boyce was, I wouldn't say raging, but he was a bit fuming at the fact that he was all at the by himself. But I genuinely can't fathom if the Rangers player was in his path for him to actually make that, was it a cutback to Boyce, or if he did actually make the right decision into actually having a shot. What do you think?
I think the pass was on earlier.
Right.
I mean, from memory, as I say, I haven't watched the goals for a day anyway, but I watched them yesterday, and to be honest, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he basically beats 4 players with a wee shoulder drop and he's away. And I think there was an opportunity to pass it across. But look, I'm not going to say he made the wrong decision. Maybe
in that moment, like, look, in that moment, like, you know, like if you're facing goal with the 1-on-1, and like, you know what I mean, you know, you've got to take it.
Plus, putting it into context, that's Barry Mackay going back to Ibrox against his former club. He's just absolutely roasted 4 defenders. Do you honestly think he's going to...
Roasted, sorry. I love the word, sorry.
He did. He absolutely roasted them. And do you honestly think he's then going to pass it across goal and give away the chance to score after doing that sort of run?
No, but that is a new one. That is a new one that I'm going to actually the write down, Alan. Like, you know, I can just imagine, like, you know, him like sort of passing by all these players, like the chance goes and just walks past the player. Fucking roasted you there, son. Fucking
he did. He roasted him. But it was, get that on a t-shirt. Get on a t-shirt. He roasted him.
No, mate. That could mean a whole different thing. That mate.
Actually, that could mean a whole different. That. Let's not do that.
Move on.
I've just heard it in my head. Let's not do that.
Thank you.
But no, I don't blame Mackay for taking the shot on, because you would, anyone in that situation would. But again, 100%. Boyce has every right to be fuming, because he's a striker. He wants to score goals. You know?
No, man, of course.
And Gino was there as well, so Gino could have hit it too.
Christ almighty. If I'm right in saying as well, obviously we mentioned there, like, you know, the other chance that the Rangers has from Kamal Roof, with the shot that kind of flickered off the post as well. Obviously, again, I'm almost certain that even though Suter was there in the actual with the goal itself, if that kind of went a few inches to the left, I don't think Suter would have actually got it cleared in time. But, you know, like the God's word, like, on our side, like, you know, at that point, like, you know, so
massively.
I was happy about that. And another highlight that was a blatant red card and all. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about as well. But again, so the ball went out of play in the was it the dugout? I don't know what actually happened, but it was both Stephen Kingsley and Bakuna, if that's how you say his name. Hi. I don't know what he wasn't happy about, but Kingsley kind of was it like sort of was it to push his away? Was it like, you know, Bakuna for something like, I don't know, was it what it was? Then literally right in front of a 4th official, right? Grabs him by the fucking neck, and then Robbie intervenes to kind of to break it up. And again, when I was watching the highlights, you could see Robbie saying red card, like it's like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, like I will say, initially Kingsley was the pushing was it Bakuna, right? Okay, granted, like that wasn't right, but in the same instance, he was reacted poorly, and that's what you're going to take from that, right? And again, I cannot get the Scottish officials in this fucking country with the 4th official standing literally in between fucking both them, was it Robbie and Gerard, right, for the first time, didn't say a word because he knew He knew.
He did. He did know.
And yet it ended up with Robbie getting fucking sent off. Like, you couldn't write it. You couldn't honestly write it.
It's just nuts because, I mean, my view on this is that I absolutely applaud Stephen Kingsley for not overreacting.
No.
When it happened. But there's a part of me, and I put this on Twitter, I think in that situation, Stephen Kingsley needs to be clever.
Yeah, no.
Maybe, I mean, this is not me encouraging Hearts players to dive. This is not me encouraging Hearts players to simulate it. But in that instance, Stephen Kingsley should have fallen down. Because then you draw attention to it and the referee has to make a decision. I think the fact that Stephen Kingsley stayed on his feet and just carried on like nothing had happened.
Yeah, but
that counted against it. I think it's like we saw, and I'm going to keep going back to it. It's the Cammy Devlin penalty against Motherwell. He went down because he felt a touch, and he said it. I felt a touch. I went down. That's what you do. Nobody likes to see players simulating. Nobody likes to see players diving all over the place. But in that instance, draw more attention to what's just happened.
Yeah, sorry, go on, you go.
And I just think even the Aribo tackle, Cammy Devlin gets up and plays on fairly quickly after it's happened. To take it even further back, Connor Goldson gets booked for a tackle on Ben Woodburn, and Ben Woodburn feels the tackle, goes down and starts rolling on the floor. And it was actually quite a soft tackle, but Goldson got booked for it. I don't think that was a yellow, to be honest, but the referee gave him a yellow. I don't know whether it was based off the reaction of Woodburn. It could have been. Cammy Devlin jumps up after the Aribo tackle as if he's fine. Are we saying, and what I'm perhaps saying is, in order for the referees to have to make a decision, you have to over-exaggerate what's just happened. Cammy Devlin goes over to the referee and he's giving it this. He's got his hand around his neck and all that. But the incident's happened already. And just while I'm on a rant, and before I finish my point and let you say what you want to say.
Oh, good.
One of my biggest pet hates in football is seeing people wave imaginary cards at a referee. I hate that. I absolutely despise that. And Robbie Nielsen did that, and I do not like to see that. The referee is the person that makes the decision. Yes, they're inept. Yes, they're garbage. Yes, they don't know what they're doing. But it's their job. And as much as I love Robbie Nielsen for shouting at the referee and saying it's a red, he was putting himself in a position for the referee to go, no, the only person that's getting a red is you.
Fair enough. Going just to start off by your point. Now, look, I don't want to see diving or record that in any part of football because I think it's disgraceful, and I don't know how players can call themselves a professional in that sense if they're wanting to try and dive to try and get something out of it. I do understand what you're saying in terms of trying to over exaggerate to draw attention to it. But I think in this certain instance, because he's been grabbed by the neck and Bakuna's not sort of grabbed his neck and shoved him down, he's just grabbed his neck. So if he then kind of just goes, oh, and you know what I mean? It's not,
I do.
You know what I mean? No. So I think in this very particular instance, I think Kingsley did the best he could in terms of the reaction. He might not be the biggest guy in the world, but Kingsley, I wouldn't want to mess with. So I think he kind of handled it himself well. Regarding Robbie, I do fully agree with what you say in terms of any sort of the manager or the player, card. I mean, I totally get what you're saying. On the flip side of that, I mean, I say that we're not was it the football was was it at the managers, but you've had plenty experience on your laptop, mate. But but I think if I'm Robbie in that instance, I probably would have done the exact same. Because it's all in the heat of the moment. And if you blatantly see something, that again, that should have been a red.
Yeah.
And then, like I've said about, was it Ed, the 3 times? The fourth official was there again. This is what frustrated me about the two sort of the major incidents that actually happened. 2 referees were right there in the line of sight, and that's what infuriates me. And it just makes it all the worse that it was like against Rangers at Ibrox in Glasgow, of course, and that's what just infuriates me, the whole thing about it. But as we said there, Robbie was sent to the stands, so I don't know. I mean, is that a thing that he can appeal, or?
This is what I was looking for clarification on Twitter, because I'm not sure of what the rules are.
Right.
I know that if, in terms of incidents that happen during a match, if the referee, because at the end of every game, obviously the referee has to do a match report of everything that happened. If an incident is missed off that match report, that can then be reviewed and the player can be punished retrospectively,
right,
like after the game. But because he booked Bakuna, and because he booked Kingsley, and because he booked Aribo for the tackle on Devlin, they can't be upgraded to red cards. They can't, because they're already, basically the SFA look at it and go, well, you've dealt with that during the game, so we don't need to, we don't need to take it further. The manager situation is one I'm not sure of. I don't know if he can appeal a touchline ban, but to be honest, I don't think he should. I don't think he should, because I don't think he'll be successful. I agree with you. I agree with you saying that he did the right thing, and he did. Like, I said it myself. I don't like seeing people waving imaginary cards and shouting, send him off, send him off. But you're right. Heat of the moment. Robbie was literally 5 yards away from it. He's seen it happening. But you're then venturing into that. You're telling the fourth official, you're telling the referee how to do their job. And as much as somebody needs them to help, somebody needs to tell them how to do it.
Please.
Robbie's not the person.
No. I do understand that, yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but I put it on Twitter at halftime. I said someone's getting sent off in this game.
Oh, I was shocked that, surprisingly, that no one did.
Yeah, I said the referee's itching to get his red cards out, and then at the end of the game, I says I'm actually deleted it was Robbie sent off and not one of the players.
True, but
So, do you know what I mean?
No, man, of course. Yeah, man, of course. But yeah, like as we got to the end of more to the end of the actual game, I'll be honest with you, mate. I genuinely think Rangers were gonna kind of slowly see this out. But lo and behold, the unthinkable of unthinkables happened. Now, before we go into the actual goal itself, right? When I was listening, because I was actually on my way home from work at this point, so I had it on the radio. Now, it was the most calmest commentating I've ever heard in my life through the BBC radio. Now, it was almost as if he was just kind of continuing the conversation. Now, from what I can remember, literally, like they were talking about something, and then he went across the Ibrox, and then all that he was saying was, yeah, it was a corner in from Hearts. McGregor made like a massive mistake, blah 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 blah. And then he ended it with, and unfortunately, it may have just cost the Rangers 2 points. And then I literally said to myself, "Fucking hang on a minute, son! You fucking rewind that back. What actually happened?" And then I literally had to go onto my phone, look at the score. I was like, "Oh, BJ, you fucking dancer!"
Well, I tell you, if he was composed on the radio, you should. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but
I've seen plenty. The
highlights that Hearts put out from Hearts TV when it goes in, and Laurie, who's doing the commentary, goes absolutely mental. And he posted, I love it. He posted on Twitter not long after full time. He says something along the lines of, "My seat went flying." And then I had to remember where I was sitting, because he's obviously in the media, but he's surrounded by Rangers supporters. And it's one of those, like, I couldn't do his job.
Dude, I will give Laurie, absolute fool was it the credit. Like you said, some of the things and some of the pictures he was coming out with, like you said, I could not do his job. I would be,
No.
I would literally first sort of at the 5 was it at the minute. I would literally call somebody like an arsehole, and then I get straight fucking sent out. But
it's one of those. I don't know if you've seen it as well. We've not even spoken about the goal, by the way. But
no, we haven't. So please crack on.
The best reaction, and you'll have seen it. You'll have seen it. The best reaction is Chris Boyd on Sky Sports. That one.
Oh, dude.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was like, do you know what? I hope every single Rangers associated person was reacting exactly like that.
Dude, what we're going to do right now, literally, right? We're going to redo that picture right now. So I want you to do the Chris Boyd, like smile, and then I'll do the second picture, okay? So 3, 2, 1. And then it was just, oh, mate, it was absolutely spectacular. Absolutely spectacular.
I absolutely loved it. But like going to the goal itself, the corner comes in from Gary Mackay-Steven.
It was, yeah.
Came on in the second half and again did quite well.
He did all right,
but it's funny because the corner, the delivery isn't even that good.
Not particularly, no, but
it's not a great ball in. And it's one of those, Alan McGregor, love him or hate him, is one of the best goalkeepers in Scotland. Not the best because he plays for us.
For his age, for his age, especially what, 41? Like,
I think he's 40s, yeah.
For 40, 41,
40, maybe 39, 40, yeah.
That.
Anyway, he's too
old.
He's very old.
He's very old. Aye.
But the way the ball comes in, I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's not a good delivery. Like,
no,
it's not. And I was sitting watching it and I was like, that's so close to the goalkeeper. Like, that's not going to go anywhere. And then he somehow manages to just forget where the ball is.
Like it almost sort of slides out like of his hands. Almost.
It's bizarre. And I mean, as I said, Alan McGregor's a decent goalkeeper.
Definitely.
It was most unlike him.
Yeah.
To totally fumble that. But he did. He totally fumbled it.
Yep.
And Halkett just happens to be in the right place at the right time and just puts it in at the back post. And I'll say this, we've been critical of Halkett on this podcast in the past. I am fully converted. I think that man should be moving up the list in terms of contract renewals. Sooner rather than later. I
do agree with you. Yeah, 100%. We have been a bit more critical of Halkett, but I will say that I'm probably on that side that you're on. Now we could probably say that every single Hearts player on that pitch probably deserved to score that goal, but for some reason Halkett really deserved to score that goal, just literally based on his performances throughout the start of the season. That's the player that I wanted to see when he first signed. That was the player that I kind of envisioned that I thought he would be. And
he's
like,
getting there.
And
he's building back to it. And he said, I don't know if you saw it, the club put a wee snapshot out on their Twitter after the game of an interview with him. It was literally like 2 minutes. And he says, I pride myself on being able to score goals and I've not scored one for a while. So it was good to get one. And I'm
Definitely.
like, because he did. When he first arrived, he was banging goals and he was our top goal scorer for a while.
Christ almighty.
And that's the thing. And that's what he gives you. And like you said, for anyone to get that goal, I'm delighted it was him.
Yeah.
And they mentioned it in the commentary. Laurie was talking about it. Obviously, former Rangers Youth Academy player, came through the ranks with him, wasn't given a chance, was shipped out. It was written that he was going to be the one that gets it. And I loved it because, again, I watched a stream which was kind of jumping between, it was really strange. It was jumping between the Hearts TV commentary and the Rangers TV commentary. So I don't quite know what happened there.
Odd.
But for the goal, I got the Rangers TV commentary.
Oh, Christ.
Clive Tilsley.
Oh, don't even.
Craig Halkett, of all people.
Don't even.
Goal scored by Craig Halkett, of all people. I was like, what's that supposed to mean?
that boy was giving me the absolute hump throughout the whole game. And again, it was something that you mentioned on Twitter, like, as well. He must be a fucking fanboy of Morelos, like, because anytime he got that job ball, it was it was literally it was it was literally true. It was literally like he was commentating like as if it was a Champions League final. Like, it was like literally holy. I'm like, Jesus fuck, son. Like, you know what I mean?
He was looking for his own sort of Aguero moment, wasn't he? You could see it every
You can never replicate an Aguero moment. But anyhow,
I'm gonna while we're talking about this, just briefly, 70 minutes, and I noted this because I thought that's fucking hilarious. 70 minutes into the game, Kevin Thompson was doing the co-commentary.
Of course he was.
Kevin Thompson jinxed Alan McGregor because he said, because Alan McGregor makes a save from a Cammy Devlin shot, and he says that's why he's the best, bar none. Fast forward to the 89th minute.
Thank you, sir. I'll take that any day of the week.
The best, bar none, was playing in goal for Hearts. Thank you very much.
No bother, Kev Thompson, wanker.
What a prick.
Anyhow, so then I think that kind of concluded the match as such, and we came away with, I would say, a well-deserved point. Obviously, I know that we didn't play amazingly well for the first half, but like, you know, the last half an hour, like, you know, we did start to grow into it, and we came away with, I'd say the scoreline was fairly representative of what actually happened. And I find, like, you know, a point each was probably well deserved. But like you said, mate, it felt more like a win, literally, on how it happened and the what time it actually happened as well. So I'll take that any day of the week. So now things are still the same at the top of the table. The only difference is that we've just moved to 19 points with Rangers on 20. Dundee United, surprisingly, on 17. But we won't mention that. Again, after 9 games, 19 points, like, you know what I mean? You can't complain. I will not complain.
You can't, can you? And it's one of those, I know you're saying the point was deserved. I think we rode our luck, but your luck.
Absolutely.
Your luck, and it balanced out with the goal at the end. So Rangers could and maybe should have had us buried, but they didn't. And at 1-0, we're still in the game. We got a goal right at the end. And I have to say, the absolute scenes in the away end, I was so jealous. I saw a friend of the podcast, Adam, was from the Perth and Paisley podcast, appeared in virtually every single graphic that I have seen.
Literally.
He was having the time of his life, as were the rest of them.
When I saw Daniels was at the post on it, like, you know, not to quote him, but like, it was along the lines of the amount of times that Adam Kennedy is like, you know, like, it's in the shot sickens me. Like, I thought,
he was having the time of his life.
He was.
Other
good lads.
Odd fans that were there.
Definitely. But unbelievable scenes. Unbelievable scenes.
So jealous.
So again, that rounds off the game, and I will end it with this. Still unbeaten. Again, take that any day of the week. So we're going to round things off with a quick look to Saturday's home game at Tynecastle against the Filth as well. Dundee. Obviously, they got off to their return from the international break with their first win. Is that right in St. Allen against ever so crumbling Aberdeen? Again, I won't laugh at that as well. So first impressions, Alan. What do you think going into Saturday's game? Do you think it will be a relatively easy affair, or do you think Dundee will actually have something to offer in terms of a challenge at Tynecastle?
It should be a fairly routine winnable game.
Thank you.
I think we're in good momentum. We're high in confidence. We'll be high in confidence the fact that we got a point against Rangers. Dundee, first league win of the season against Aberdeen. I haven't seen the highlights of it, so I don't know how they played. I don't know if it was just because Aberdeen were awful or Dundee were actually decent.
I think it's probably because Aberdeen were shite, mate. I'm not even
maybe.
gonna lie. I'm not even gonna
Maybe,
lie.
and I'm not going to pretend that I've seen the highlight because I haven't.
No.
But yeah, I mean, if we turn up at Tynecastle and play how we played against Livingston, play how we played against Motherwell, we should have it in the bag. But you know, it's one of those. It's a potential stumbling block because you just don't know. But
yeah,
a year ago this weekend was the opening day of the championship season, and we absolutely papped them 6-2. So I would take that again.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really have to add much. Like again, like I kind of echo what you say, mate. I, on the other hand, actually do think it's going to be a very routine win. On top of that as well, I think it's going to be a large scoreline as well. I think we should absolutely pat them. You know, like you said, as well as the team, like sort of quite high on confidence right now. So am I. So,
it's hard not to be.
It's hard not to be, mate. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So to round things off, going into the head-to-head predictions, that was the only downside of this. Like, I was flying throughout these 9 games prior to the fucking Rangers game, and now it's all to play for. Even though there's still like what 29, 30 odd the games to actually play. Like, we never get any scoreline right, and it just literally, honestly, it can be 10 games with nor you or me actually getting a right result, but then one like sort of was it the result changes everything. That's why I'm papping myself.
I'm back in the game, boys.
Yes, unfortunately. Obviously, again, we'll wait until about maybe Christmas time to say what the actual forfeit will be for yourself and I. Just to say on that, Alan, I've already had the item was it picked out by my other half, and it's dreadful. It's fucking dreadful. But yeah, I'll say no more on that because I'll end up fucking crying like if I lose. So yes, Alan, final bit of the podcast. What is your the prediction for Saturday's game against Dundee?
I'm going for high flying Heart of Midlothian to win by 3-0 and put us top of the league for a day. As we will be, because Rangers play on a Sunday.
All right, okay, fair enough. I was a bit to say, I thought, you are high on confidence, sir, are you?
3-0. I'm not going to give you scorers, though, because we're not going into that.
No, that's all right with me, because it'll be, Boyce. Anyhow, so,
it would.
Yeah. So from my end, I think, like I said beforehand, I think it's going to be a large scoreline, and I think it's going to be 4-1 to Hearts. I don't know why, but there's something inside of me. I think that we thumb prick will actually score. I don't know why I think this. There's just something inside me that I think like he'll get some sort of like a goal. But yeah, I do think they will score, but I think it'll be no more than a consolation. So I'm going to go for Hearts 4, Dundee 1. So
both are doable. Doable. I'm just looking forward to hearing Lee Griffiths get absolutely roasted again by the Hearts supporters from the stands, because
I mean, to be honest,
a song about him, and I'm not going to repeat it. But
we better not, yeah, because
allegedly.
Like you put that there, allegedly. But yeah, I mean that in itself as well. I think the overall atmosphere is going to be very fiery. Obviously, concerning last year's events as well. With the voting system from Dundee as well, that's going to kind of heat things up a little bit. So I think that'll add a bit to the atmosphere as well as the bum himself. So yeah, we kind of wait to see that game. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps things off for tonight's podcast. So as ever, guys, we are the Saint Abidjan podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please think about subscribing, smash that like button. As ever, guys, we do truly appreciate all the new subscribers and all the likes and all the interaction as well that you guys give us as well. It's always greatly appreciated. And if you want to get in contact with us through our social media platforms, you can. We're all at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at SIWY Pod. Alternatively, as well, if you want to get in contact with us through our email as well, you can. It is on screen, since I was young, 1874 at gmail.com. And if you want to get in contact with us as well, you can. Both of our Twitter links are in the description, as well as my YouTube channel, What Ewan's Doing. Alan, as ever, mate, thank you very much for joining me on this very smug but very prestige podcast as ever, mate.
Yeah, not a problem at all. So I'm just pleased that I've got myself back into the head-to-head game. Game on now.
I know, mate. It's shit, isn't it? It's shit.
Fantastic, mate.
It's all good, mate. It's all good. Like, throughout all the sort of knocks that I've was giving you, mate, you do like sort of deserve it, like, but
first correct score I've had all season, so I'll take it,
mate. I'm just shocked that we've managed to actually get like a right scoreline, for once. It's ridiculous. But if you get 2 in a row, by fuck, there's something wrong there. Fix. It's got to be like a conspiracy somewhere in that. Come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll get Robbie on the phone.
Good lad.
Stop scoring after 3.
Red card. But yeah, well, we'll end things on there, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. You take care. Bye for now.